in December of last year, your lawyers filed a document in federal court and wrote that, I quote, "The selection of which DOE grant termination decisions were included in the October 2025 notice tranche was influenced by whether a grantee's address was located in a state that tends to elect and/or has recently elected Democratic candidates," end quote. This was all written about in a December 2025 Washington Post article titled, "Trump Administration Admits to Targeting Blue States for Energy Grant Cuts." I ask unanimous consent to enter this article in the record, Mr. Chairman. And again, that's not political opponents talking. That was your own lawyers in federal court. So my first question is simple. I think you told us today that politics played no role. Your lawyers told a federal judge it did. How do you account for the discrepancy?
Actually, they're not inconsistent. What I've said is the evaluation of all the projects did not take into account politics. They looked at these projects on their merits, and that piece you just read does not contradict that. It said the announcements of the projects.
The selection.
Not the evaluation, not the choices that were made, the timing of the announcement of some of the evaluations.
If I could.
That does not reflect
Mr.
at all on the evaluations that were done.
Your lawyers went further. They didn't deny the politics. So they argued that, and I quote, "Consideration of partisan politics is constitutionally permissible." They actually said that. That's the quote. They tried to justify it. A federal judge disagreed. What I want you to answer is that every single grant terminated in October 2025 was in a state that voted against the president. Not one red state project was touched. How do you account for that?
I think in that wording you saw the announcement, which is a timing question, not a decision question.
So the exact words from your lawyers were consideration of partisan politics is constitutionally permissible, and also, quote, "the selection of which DOE grant termination decisions were included was influenced by whether a grantee's address was located in a state that tends to elect and or has recently elected Democratic candidates." So you won't
the selection of the decisions to be announced, not the decisions. Which decisions, which were non-political, were announced at that point in time?
I didn't want to go here because I do have tremendous respect for you. I want to have a good working relationship. I genuinely do. OMB director vote announced these cuts on social media as canceling, and I quote, "green news scam funding to fuel the left's climate agenda," end quote, before DOE sent a single termination notice. The president said the day before, and I am quoting, that the shutdown was an opportunity to do things that are bad for Democrats and irreversible. Are you telling this committee that was all a coincidence?
The timing, those decisions were made before then. They were made on merits and unrelated to politics. What you saw was which decisions may have been announced on that day. That was not a decision made by the Department of Energy. It did not impact whether we voted thumbs up or thumbs down on any projects.
So I don't think we're going to agree on this one, but let me ask you this. The Inspector General has opened a formal audit of these terminations. Will you commit right now to full cooperation with that audit?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. So I think you said also that you would be open to reconsidering some of the grant terminations. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. We've had many dialogues with many different parties in all different independent of geography.